Yo, what's going on, guys? Your boy EmeryReigns here, bringing you a little bit of a different kind of video. I wanted to kind of compare Tekken 7 and Dead or Alive 6. I know that I'm still new to Tekken, I don't really understand the game fully, but there are some things that I picked up from it pretty fast that I like to compare to DOA. So everybody loves comparing DOA to Tekken, especially when it comes to the system, and people like to say DOA is better than Tekken and Tekken is better than DOA and vice versa, whatever. But I think that it'll be interesting to compare the game's mechanics and just to see exactly how they stack up to each other. So they're going to go kind of quick, guys. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about a specific topic because we got a couple to go over. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about in Tekken compared to DOA, there's a pretty big emphasis on 50-50s. Now, obviously, a lot of Tekken is going to be footsies and outspacing someone and playing the neutral game, but there is a really big presence of 50-50s in Tekken. In Dead or Alive, you don't really have that because lows are not going to really be that great. In Dead or Alive, you don't really have that 50-50 factor because of the fact that lows don't launch in Dead or Alive. In Tekken, if you get hit by a low, you're going to get comboed, you're going to lose a lot of frame advantage, or you're actually just going to get hit and launched into a wall or something. The next thing the Tekken has that Dead or Alive does not have is throw breaks. So I know the throw breaks have been something that people in the Dead or Alive community have wanted for a long time. We still don't have them. Obviously, throw breaking is something that's big in Tekken that Dead or Alive does not have, except for if you neutral grab somebody. Neutral grabs is not guaranteed damage. You can always break them. However, in Tekken, you can break pretty much any throw. In Dead or Alive, if you get grabbed, whether that be on normal, high counter, you're never going to be able to break a throw. If a throw connects, it's over. The only throws you can break in Dead or Alive are going to be chain throws, similar to Tekken, and also you're going to be able to break neutral throws. Again, neutral throws are not that great because you can actually just break out of them, and there's only one type of neutral throw, whereas in Tekken you have multiple different throws that you can break. Back to talking about low sweeps, in Tekken there's these things that people refer to as snake edges. Now, I can't stand snake edges, especially me, because I'm new to the game. So snake edges are essentially a low that's going to launch you on normal hit into a fucking guaranteed combo that gives you hella damage. Now, I know that it sounds kind of newbie of me to talk about, especially, but you gotta think about it. I'm a new Tekken player. I'm still trying to learn the game. I'm gonna get hit by snake edges, and I've seen snake edges connect at the highest level of competition. So don't tell me the snake edges don't work, because they hit everybody. The environment in Tekken and Dead or Alive are very different. Dead or Alive is usually gonna be a lot more blockbuster type of environments going on. You're gonna hit cars and launch up to the fucking roof. You're gonna bounce off the roof and get launched. It's the environments are very different. Whereas in Tekken, the only real environment you really have is gonna be like a floor break where you get a guaranteed combo afterwards, or a guaranteed hit. Something that Dead or Alive has that I wish Tekken had, and I know it's going to sound scrubby of me again, but the in-game frame data not being in Tekken is super frustrating, especially as a new player like me, and especially someone who studies tech and studies a lot of frame data. Having to download an app on my phone or go on the internet to search through frame data for a character that I have no idea how to fight is actually really frustrating, especially coming from a game like DOA where you're spoon-fed the frame data in the game. It's definitely something that I don't really like about Tekken. I guess I'm just gonna have to grind it out and go online and look at the apps and stuff, but I really wish the frame data wasn't in the game. With Tekken, there's so many characters you have to learn how to fight. I don't even know how many characters are in the game, but there's a lot. And again, tying into the frame data thing, not only do you have to go somewhere externally and find the frame data for the game, but you have to sit there and go to the character, figure out what move you got hit by, and learn that. And then on top of that, you have to go to the app and find it. One thing about Tekken that's really great compared to DOA is that there's such a strong emphasis on the male characters. And I know that I don't want to sound sexist or anything like that, but you guys know, coming from DOA, there's such a strong emphasis on the female characters. It's nice to play a game where you feel like your male character has real power. It's nice to feel like your male character actually has the spotlight on them instead of just the females all the time. Dead or Alive 6 introduced DOA Central, where you can go in and change the color of your costumes and add a couple of things here and there. But the character customization in Tekken is through the roof. Let's just face it, it's so awesome. I love being able to make my Lars look exactly the way I want them to look, whereas in DOA, I'm very limited to what I can do. A big mechanic change that's getting used to is a little difficult for me is the throw punishment in DOA compared to Tekken, where the punishment is mainly for strikes. I know that you can actually get some guaranteed throw punishment off in Tekken. Like if someone like King does a spring kick and they go backwards, you can actually get a grab, and the grabs are unbreakable from what I know, if you do them back turn or on the side. So throw punishment is possible in Tekken, but you really want to go for your strike punishment in Tekken. So I definitely think something to get used to in Tekken is going to be strike punishment over DOA, where it is throw punishment. So one thing that's hard to get used to about Tekken compared to DOA is that the ground game is completely different. In Tekken, from what I know, I could be wrong, again, I'm new to the game, but from what I know, there's actually no way to really force someone up off the ground. They can stay on the ground as long as they want. They can roll around, they can roll forward, they can roll backwards. From what I know, there's no way to really force someone up off the ground, whereas in DOA, your character's actually on a timer. If you get ground pounded while you're on the ground, you actually get up maybe like a second later than that, but if you just get knocked down, you can only lay there for about 3 seconds. seconds, maybe even 2 seconds. But I know in Tekken, you can't really force someone up. But the good thing about that is that if someone lays on the ground, you can usually fuck them up. Like with Kazuya, you can use the steel pedal, you can use the ground stomp. So laying on the ground isn't really smart in Tekken all the time, but in DOA, you're very limited to the options you have on the ground. And then on top of that, you have to force yourself up after a couple of seconds. So something very similar that Dead or Alive has now that Tekken also has. In Tekken, they have the Rage Art, which is pretty much going to be like a super that once you trigger it, I know some characters have high Rage Arts you can duck under, but once you trigger a Rage Art, if someone's in the middle of doing a strike that doesn't lead into a low or something that's evasive, the Rage Art is going to connect, and I'm pretty sure the Rage Art tracks, so if you try to step it or free walk it, you're going to get hit. The Rage Art is very similar to DOA in that aspect, because in DOA, if you trigger a break blow, what we call a break blow in DOA, it actually eats up a button and it kind of acts as a sabaki, which means if you go to hit somebody and it's not a low, you can actually counteract that attack and then go into your break blow, which kind of triggers the same animation, something similar to Tekken's Rage Art. From what I know, Rage Arts don't lose to lows. Rage Arts can completely destroy everything. They are unsafe on block, but in DOA, if you do a break blow, you can actually beat it with a low. So in Tekken, there's not a meter system except for the special characters. Dead or Alive, you guys know every character has a meter bar. Even the newer characters that were introduced from King of Fighters, Kula and Mai, they actually have a meter bar as well. But the meter bar plays into the DOA system and not the King of Fighters system. Tekken, you have Geese, you have Eliza, or Eliza, I'm not really sure how to say her name, and then you have Akuma as well, who work around their meter system that kind of seem like they're specific to their actual game. I'm not sure exactly how the meter works in Tekken, but I know that if you look at their bars, they're actually taken and ripped out of their respective game, like Street Fighter and King of Fighters. It's actually really awesome that they did that for Tekken. So another big thing about Tekken compared to Dead or Alive is the movement. As you guys know, moving backwards in Tekken is gonna take fucking months by itself. Moving backwards in DOA is not really that difficult because the movement is a lot simplified, especially when it comes to using the free walk system. So Tekken has a jumping mechanic, whereas Dead or Alive used to have a jumping mechanic in DOA 4. They actually took it out after DOA 4. So you have no problem just walking up and walking down, walking backwards and forward. The Korean backdash in DOA and also the wave dash in DOA is a lot simpler because it's not as strict. Some characters in Tekken, you actually have to be able to wave dash in order to actually play that character properly. Like Kazuya, all the Mishimas, that's going to be King as well, Bob. A lot of characters you need to be able to wave dash in order to use those characters. Like in Dead or Alive, if you hold the back button, like if you hit back and just hold back, your character will actually move kind of fast without even needing a backdash cancel. In Tekken, if you do that, your character's not going to go anywhere. So you actually need to know how to move in that game. One huge thing about Dead or Alive that Tekken does not have is the stun game. I'm not going to go super in depth into the stun game because I'm sure if you guys are watching this, you know how the stun game works in Dead or Alive. But if you hit someone while they're at disadvantage or some moves actually stun on normal hit, you're actually going to be able to go into a whole system where they have to hold or break hold to get out of it. Whereas in Tekken, it's a lot more neutral based as far as a lot of your moves are going to be hitting on normal hit. A lot of your moves are going to be like if you're doing a load, it gives you frame advantage. The game just plays completely different than Dead or Alive as far as the neutral goes. And last but not least, the sidestep I wanted to talk about just briefly. The sidestep in Tekken is really based around what they call a free walk. You can actually free walk around somebody and completely get behind their back and fuck them up. Whereas in Dead or Alive, what we call free step or free walk, you can call it in Dead or Alive as well. You can actually evade some attacks like that as well, but for the most part, there's a built-in sidestep. The only thing about Tekken that gets a little confusing is it's not as simple as Dead or Alive where you can just sidestep whenever and wherever you want and get that attack in. In Tekken, if you sidestep, you have to be careful which way you're sidestepping because some characters are weaker to the left and weaker to the right. Some characters, depending on which way they're standing, if you sidestep, you'll actually sidestep right into their attack. So it is much harder to sidestep successfully in Tekken than DOA. So something very similar between Tekken and Dead or Alive is going to be the combos. So in Dead or Alive, they actually introduced something new in Dead or Alive 6 where you do a relaunch, where you do a combo into the air, which is going to be like a juggle, and then you'll actually go into the bound mechanic. The bound mechanic can actually set up for a close hit attack, and it can also set up for a break blow. Now, usually the break blow, if you do it after a bound, is going to scale a lot unless you cancel it and go into another combo. In Tekken, you can actually do a relaunch or do a combo into a juggle again also, and you can go into what they call a screw. You can actually run up and get an attack into the wall, or you can run up and do a Oki setup, or you can actually run up and do the Rage Art. So it's actually very similar that they have that in Tekken and Dead or Alive. So again, guys, I didn't want to go super in depth into a lot of these topics. I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of the differences between Tekken and DOA, especially for the people that don't know anything about Tekken. Now, again, I'm not great at Tekken. I don't really understand the game that well, but there are some things that I do understand about the game, and obviously I know everything about DOA. So I just wanted to kind of express how I feel about the two games and the differences that they have. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Be sure to check me out on all social media, including Twitch at EmeryReigns, and I will check you guys next time. Peace.